Once again, guys, it is that time of year where we find out the Champions League draw and the Europa League draw. Very excited this year to watch both competitions again. Of course, being an Arsenal fan, it's a little bit disappointing once again to be in the Europa League, but I'm sure we are going to be up there again. We got into the semi-finals, which wasn't too bad. Should have been winning that, I think, and hopefully this year we can. But of course, the Champions League, probably the biggest competition in football, really, isn't it? The World Cup is every 4 years. The Champions League, every single year. All the best clubs around Europe go toe-to-toe. Are Real Madrid going to win it again? I don't know. It's going to be a tight one. But anyway, we're going to go through the Champions League group stages first and take a look at which groups I think are going to be the most interesting to watch and also the most difficult for teams to break out of. And then, of course, we will look at the Europa League. So let's take a look straight away at Group A. So we have Atletico Madrid. I should probably move my camera a little bit, actually. Let me do that so it's not in the way. There we go. Look at that, the beauty of technology. Atletico, Dortmund, Monaco, and Club Brugge. Very good group. There's a lot of close groups. Spoiler alert, and I'm sure a lot of you have already seen them, but if you're here to hear my thoughts, that's a pretty tasty one, isn't it? I think Atletico Madrid will be favourites going into that to win the group, and then Monaco and Dortmund very close in second. I think the gap between Dortmund and Monaco isn't that big these days. I think Monaco will make it through. I just have a feeling they're very good in Europe. They have been pretty decent over the last few seasons, although they have lost a lot of their big talents. You know, a lot of players have gone on to other clubs. Lamar, for example, has just gone to Atletico, so that's going to be interesting. But you can never rule Dortmund out. Unfortunately, though, for Club Brugge, it's looking like they will not be progressing through. It's a tough group. I think Atletico to win it and Monaco in second. Now, Group B, Tottenham, oh dear. I think they may have been put in a very, very tough group. 4 very good teams. We've got Barcelona, Tottenham, PSV, and Inter Milan. Jeez, I feel really bad for PSV or PSV. They have, I think, got the toughest group that they could have got. Really, really difficult for them to have pretty much any chance, I think, of beating those 3 teams. You never know. They might be able to catch Inter off guard and maybe catch Tottenham on a day where they're not at their best. Barcelona, I think, is going to be very difficult for them. Inter Milan as well, unlucky to them. They've got such a great team, but to come up against Barcelona and Tottenham and PSV in their group, it's a little bit unlucky that. I think Barcelona are going to be clear favourites to win their group. Not that far above Tottenham, though. Tottenham do have a very good side. They may not have invested in their squad over the summer, but as you've seen in the Premier League so far, doesn't look like they've actually needed to bring too much in. So I'm sure Tottenham will be grabbing second place in this group with Inter just behind them. I feel so bad for PSV though, like, geez, what a group to get. And take a look at Group C. Gosh, it doesn't get any easier, does it, for some of the smaller clubs. We've got Crvena Zvezda. I've never heard of them. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know who they are. They've got a very, very difficult group. I don't think it could have been any worse, to be fair. Maybe exchange one of those teams for Real Madrid and you've got the toughest group. But Liverpool, one of the most informed teams in Europe right now. Napoli almost winning the Serie A. Juventus beat them to it again. And then, of course, PSG with the likes of Neymar, Mbappe, Cavani. I mean, it's just an unbelievable group for Liverpool, let alone the poor Crvena Zvezda. I'm not actually even sure what nation they come from, but difficult to call this one. I think I want to say that PSG will win this group because although they don't seem to perform in the latter stages of the tournament when it really matters, we all know how dominant they've been in the group stages. But this is a different story. When you've got Napoli to play against and Liverpool, I don't even want to call this one. I think Liverpool will make it through and I think PSG will make it through. But if Napoli make it through, it wouldn't surprise me. It's such a difficult group to call and I think it might be the closest we've seen so far. So really looking forward to Group C fixtures. Now looking at Group D, not quite as exciting as the other groups you've mentioned so far, but still some great teams in there and some great fixtures that I'm sure will provide a lot of entertainment. We've got Lokomotiv, we've got Porto, we've got Schalke and Galatasaray. Again, a pretty tough one to call. I think Schalke, Porto, Galatasaray all very quite even. But I don't really want to call this one either. I think Porto and Schalke will probably make it through, although an away fixture to Turkey against Galatasaray is always going to be a very difficult one. And of course going to Russia as well. So I don't know. It's a real tough one. I think Porto and Schalke to go through though. Now for Bayern's group, Group E. We've got Bayern, Benfica, Ajax and AEK. Now, again, a tough one, isn't it? I think Bayern will win that one, but I'm thinking more Benfica and Ajax fighting for that second position. And you never know, AEK could do very well as well. But I'm going to go with Bayern to win that one and Benfica in second. I don't think Ajax are going to have enough. You never know. I don't watch Dutch football as much as I probably should to have an opinion on it. I know that Ajax have done some good transfer business. They brought in Tadic from Southampton, for example. I'm sure he will do well for them. But I can't see past Bayern winning pretty much every game in that group. I don't see a team really battling against them too well. But you just never know, do you? It's the Champions League. Anything can happen. But of course, on paper, like I've just said, Bayern should be winning every single game there. It's a good group, though. Group E looks interesting. It's a huge year for Man City in the Champions League. They've got to do better this year, and they have been put in Group F with Shakhtar, Lyon and Hoffenheim. Again, a very well-rounded group. Not a bad team in there. I think Man City will actually have some tough games in there, but should be winning the group. There's no doubt about it. We've got Hoffenheim, who I think are very close with Lyon there for the second place, and even Shakhtar could surprise a few people. I don't really know who's going to be closest to Man City there. I want to say it's either Lyon or Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim in the Champions League, by the way. Fantastic for them. They've been brilliant in the Bundesliga. Lyon, of course, always a good side. Shakhtar have some great players, but Man City all the way, man. They're going to be destroying this group. And by the way, I've been watching the Man City series on Amazon Prime. What's it called? All or Nothing, I think it's called. Brilliant series. If you want to know more about the behind the scenes of football and see what it's like in the changing room after a win, after a loss, and when they win competitions, and following the journey of players that are injured, and it's a really interesting and good watch. So I fully recommend it. And actually, I've gained a lot of respect for Pep Guardiola and Man City after what they did last year in the Premier League. And like I said, big year for them. They've done well in the Premier League. Now they've got to conquer Europe. They've got to do better in the Champions League. If they don't make it to the final this year, I think that's a failure, or at least the semi-finals. It's going to be tough though. And now for the holders, Real Madrid, Group G, along with Roma, CSKA, and Plzen. I don't know how to pronounce that name. And it's a little bit lucky for Madrid. I think they've got away with it here. They've got a considerably easier group than some of the other big teams. I think Man City as well got quite lucky. But Madrid against Roma, against CSKA, you just never know. Those are tough games. I think Roma will definitely give them a run for their money when they play them. But I don't see Real Madrid not getting first place. And it wouldn't surprise me if they do go on to win the tournament again. I think they do have every chance of winning it again. Such a strong squad. Although without Ronaldo, anything can happen. I've said that a few times. Without their main man Ronaldo up front, who's going to be, of course, playing for Juventus. We're about to find out what group they've got. I just don't see where those goals are going to be recovered from. I don't think they'll be able to replace that. In fact, you can't. You can't replace a Ronaldo. So it won't be easy. It certainly won't be, straight through to the final, win it easily. It's going to be really tough for them this year. And I think Roma will come in second in this group with CSKA and Plzen going out. But now let's find out the final group. And of course, we were waiting to find out what group Man United would get. They've been put in Group H along with Juventus, Valencia and Young Boys. A very good group. Very excited to see some of these fixtures. I think Juventus and Manchester United will be fascinating. Very, very good game. Two pretty defensive sides that can hit on the break and do a lot of damage. And of course, Ronaldo. We've just spoke about him going to Juventus. He's going to be returning to Old Trafford again. So really interesting. Actually, I thought if Ronaldo was ever to leave Real Madrid, he would end up at Man United. But of course, it didn't happen. I think Juventus will be strong favourites to win this group with Man United in second place. But Man United haven't looked great this season so far. And I think Mourinho's really struggling with that group of players. And Valencia could jump in. They really could. And it wouldn't surprise me if Valencia pull off a couple of wins, especially against Man United at home. Who knows, maybe when they go to Old Trafford, they'll be able to beat them. Man United are a beatable team right now, unless you're Arsenal, of course. So, really interesting groups. Let's take a look at all of them. For me, it's all about Group A, B and C. I think those three are going to be just amazing, especially Group C. PSG, Napoli and Liverpool, man, that's going to be unbelievable. And with Barcelona, Tottenham, Inter, PSV in Group B, and then, of course, Group A, Atletico, Dortmund, Monaco. I mean, some great teams are going to be up against each other. And some of the first few fixtures, I cannot wait. What is it, September 18th, I think it begins? So it's not even that long away. It's just a couple of weeks, and we will start seeing where these clubs are in Europe, and how good they're actually going to be. Of course, The first few games are never quite as good as the... Well, I say that. There are some incredible first games of the tournament, but once you get kind of, I don't know, a month, maybe 2 months in, when you start to see teams get injuries and there's a little bit of fatigue, a little bit of tiredness from all the matches, that's when it gets really tough, you know, and that's when the real big teams shine. So cannot wait for this all to start. And now let's end the video by talking about the Europa League draw, which no one really cares about. So in Group A, we've got Leverkusen, Ludogorets, Zurich, and AEK Larnaca. Again, I'm not going to be able to recognise every single team in this competition. There's quite a few unknown teams that haven't really done anything in Europe for a long time, so I won't recognise them all. But Group A, you'd expect Leverkusen to be winning that, and maybe Ludogorets. I know of them. Arsenal have played against them more recently, from Bulgaria, I believe. Oh yeah, they've got the national codes, whatever you want to call them. Group B is very interesting because you've got two teams owned by Red Bull there. We've got RB Salzburg from Austria. We've then got Celtic, of course, from Scotland. Leipzig from Germany, RB Leipzig, and Rosenborg from Norway. So very interesting to see how Leipzig and Salzburg come up against each other. I think that could be a bit of a tasty one, you know. Group C, we've got Zenit, Copenhagen, Bordeaux, and Slavia Praha from Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic. I'm not sure. Bordeaux are a very, very decent team, and I think Thierry Henry was almost going to become manager for them, but he decided not to in the end. Zenit and Copenhagen, good teams as well. Group D, we've got Anderlecht, Fenerbahce, Dynamo Zagreb, and Spartak. Trnava, again, I'm not sure about them. From Slovakia, I guess, SVK is. Again, a very decent group, though. I think Anderlecht, Fenerbahce, that could be a nice game, but just doesn't have the same pool as the Champions League, does it? I mean, we're talking like PSG versus Liverpool, Anderlecht versus Fenerbahce. I mean, come on. Now, this is Group A. This is where Arsenal are. It's Sporting, along with us, Karabag, and Vorskla from Ukraine. I don't know what to feel about this group, because Sporting, actually one of the stronger teams in the competition for sure. That'll be a very good game. Karabag, difficult place to go to, of course. At home, it should be okay. And of course, going to Ukraine isn't easy either. It's a tough place to go, and I'm sure that'll be a difficult away match. And again, a pretty simple home match. But we should be going through along with Sporting there. Group F, we've got Olympiacos, Milan, Betis, and Dungelange. Is that Luxembourg? Might be. Group G, Villarreal, Rapid Vienna, Spartak Moscow, and Rangers. Then Group H, we've got Lazio, Marseille, Frankfurt, and Apollon. I think actually Group H might be the closest yet. That's a good group. Then Group I, we've got Besiktas, Genk, Malmo, and Sarpsborg. Group J, Sevilla, Krasnodar, Stade Liège, and Akhisar. Don't know much about those guys other than they're from Turkey. Group K, we've got Dynamo Kiev, we've got Astana, Rennes, or Stade Rennes, and Jablonec. That's an interesting name. And then Group L, we've got Chelsea, PAOK, Bate, and Vidi. They've got lucky, haven't they? Chelsea got a very good group there. Not too much travelling involved. They get to go to Greece, which is a nice break if you think about it. Is it Belarus Barte's from? And Hungary, I'm guessing Vidi is from. Again, my knowledge of some of these smaller, lesser-known European clubs that may have done really well in the history before I was watching football. I don't know everything. I apologise for that. That's why I'm not making a big deal out of this group stage. All I'm interested in about is which big teams are in the competition that could eventually come up against Arsenal if we were to make it through. So I'm happy with Group E. I think it could have been easier, of course, but it could have been a lot harder as well. I think Sporting, we should be able to beat them to first place, and we should be going through in that group. Very exciting times. Hopefully this year is our final year in the Europa League. Whether it means we win the Europa League to get into the Champions League next year, or somehow, some miracle, we make it into the top 4 of the Premier League, which, I wouldn't hold my breath. But thank you for watching, guys. That is the Europa League and the Champions League draw, and my thoughts on it. Really excited, man. It's going to be such a great season for Champions League football. Tell me which group you think is going to be the most interesting to watch in both competitions. Make sure you leave your comments down below. Thanks for watching. Make sure you drop a like while you're down there as well. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you next time.